this is where you're going to actually be figuring out what that x is. So this is our 3.5. If you're using your book, you'll flip to page 124. When you have a proportion with a missing value, there are 3 methods that can be used to find the missing value, or in this case what that's called is we're solving the proportion. The first way we can use, and if you need to see like a colored version of this example, page 119 in your book. This one's called mental math. You can simply ask yourself what number would make the fractions proportional, because ratios are fractions. I know it's the F word in math. But if we have 3 halves and we want to know how many eighths that would be, this is where you work like you did with equivalent fractions. When you say, okay, if I want to go from 2 to 8, I multiply by 4. So I would want to do the same thing to the 3. So 3 halves is equal to 12 eighths. And you can use those cross products like you did the other day and double check that your cross products are equal. 24, 24, we know we're okay. Same thing over here. If we use mental math, to get from 5 to 20, again, it's times 4. So we do the same thing here, 8 times 4. So 5 eighths is equal to 20 over 8 times 4, 32. Unfortunately, they're not all going to be that perfectly worked out. Sometimes we're going to end up dealing with numbers that aren't as pretty. This is my least favorite method, using multiplication, the multiplication property of equality. This might look a little familiar to you from when we solved equations. We have that 5/7 is equal to x over 21. Remember that the fraction bar is like a division symbol. So here it's like x is being divided by 21. How do you get rid of dividing by 21? Well, you multiply by 21. So if I multiply this side by 21, my 21s go away, and I'm left with just an x over here. On this side, if I multiply by 21, you could type this right into your calculator. 21 times 5/7. Do what you need to do. Type it all in. I'm looking at my cheat sheet. 21 times 5/7 equals 15. So in this case, x is 15. The other side, I'm being told to zoom in. All right. W divided by 6 equals 6 divided by 9. Or W to 6 is as is 6 is to 9. I want to get rid of this dividing by 6, so I'm going to multiply by 6. Remember, once you have that, you get to cross them out, and that's the fun part. So I'm left with just a W equals, multiply the other side by 6, type it in if you need to. You'll notice that what you have on top is 6 times 6, which is 36, and then divide it by 9, you end up with W equals 4. Last one like this. We want to get rid of this 15, so we're going to multiply everything by 15. So I'm left with just an A. Over here, I'm going to multiply the other side by 15. Do your math. Do what you need to do. Of course, this is the one that I didn't work out. All right. I'm going to use some simplifying here. I know that 10 and 15 can both be divided by 5. So I end up with 3 times 12 on top, which is 36, divided by 2 is 18. A is 18. All right. This method is my favorite, using the cross products property to set up an equation. All right, you'll remember from the other day that if 2 fractions are truly equivalent, then their cross products will be equal. That means you can multiply diagonally and those products will be equal. So that means if I take 9 times 17, it will be equal to 3 times y. I kind of have issues and I need to always have my variable on the left side. It doesn't matter, but I'm kind of quirky like that. So y times 3 would be written as 3y. Then you need to calculate 9 times 17. which is 153. This should look familiar to you. Now we're trying to solve an equation. What times 3 is 153? Remember, to solve a multiplication problem, we're going to divide. So divide by 3 on both sides. Now the y is alone. We have one y, or just y. Divide the other side by 3. 153 divided by 3 is 51. So y is 51. Next example. Like I said, I got to have that variable on the left. It doesn't really matter. You probably don't have the same issues I have. 12 times y is 12y. 5 times 6 is 30. I need to figure out what times 12 makes 30. You're probably thinking, there isn't anything. That means we're going to end up with a decimal. So to figure this out, I have to divide both sides by 12. So I'm left with 1y. 1y. Over here, I'm going to do 30 divided by 12. Use your calculator. 30 divided by 12 leaves me with 2.5, or 2.5. All right, this next one's a doozy. Get ready. Buckle up. 40 over y plus 1 is proportional to 15/6. We're going to use cross products again. I want to take 15 and multiply it by y plus 1. This is where you're going to need to wrap up the y plus 1 and put it in parentheses, because I want that whole thing multiplied by 15. And that equals 40 times 6. 40 times 6 is 240. Alright, do you remember how to get rid of these parentheses? I'm sure you do. We're going to take 15 and multiply it by everything that we have in parentheses. So 15 times y is 15y. 15 times 1 is 15. Now we're done with those parentheses. Equals 240. Now you're probably realizing why we keep throwing these solving equations skill packets at you, because here we have an equation that we need to solve. We need to figure out what y is, so we have to get rid of this multiplying by 15 and the adding 15. First thing we're going to get rid of is the adding 15. So we're going to do that by adding a negative 15, because that makes 0 and it goes away. We'll add a negative 15 on this side. So what we have left over here is simply 15y, and over here I have 240 plus a negative 15, which works out to be 225. Your last step, I have to figure out what times 15 makes 225, so I'll do the opposite and divide by 15. I'm left with y. Over here, divide by 15, and we get another 15. Lots of 15s in that problem. Alright, so of course you're wondering, when am I ever going to use this in my life? Well, I know you're all obsessed with your phones and text messaging, so here we have. A cell phone company charges $5 for 250 text messages. How much does it charge for 300 text messages? Well, we're going to first set up a proportion. We know that $5 will buy you 250 text messages. I'm going to call those TMs. I want to know how much would I have to pay for 300 text messages. Notice that the amount that I don't know is the dollar amount. So that's going to be my variable. I'm just going to use an N for my variable. And I want to get 300 text messages. So that needs to go on the bottom. You can use whatever method you like. I like cross products, so I'm going to use that one. I'm going to take 250 times N, which gives me 250N, and 5 times 300, which gives me 1500. And at this point it should be getting simple. We're just going to divide by 250 so I can get that N alone. Divide by 250 over here. 1500 divided by 250 is 6. N is 6. In this particular case, it represents dollars. So my N is actually $6. Alright, I think you're ready to solve some proportions tomorrow. Bye!